I think I would be more popular at parties if I could tell my boring ass stories with some paper mache.
Let's just say you would have more friends.
So like yesterday, I went to the grocery store, and an old lady asked if I wanted a bag.
Musical punctuation after every sentence, and it's like, Steve, get to the point. Like, this is great, but this is 15 years of this. I need just a regular conversation.
As I was checking out, she said you could get one more of these, and then you get a buy two, get one free.
And there's like papers flying through the air, and we're like, oh my God, it's just.
Sir, you're going to have to pick that up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like they're going to have to pay somebody to clean all this up. Kubo out here making a mess.
Wham, bam, thank you, man. This one's probably going to be short. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's our first kids movie.
Hey. Well.
And animation movie.
We've seen movies about kids getting like abducted.
And this is and bad things still happen to this kid. We need to just watch it.
All right. Listen, nobody got locked in a shower and burned. I'd say this is a pretty wholesome movie. The only thing that happened to this little kid was his eye got ripped out.
And his parents get murdered. And the whole town is destroyed. But nobody in the town died because they're all in it at the end.
Well, see, that's what makes it the kids' movie. Nobody died. Except for his parents and his friends and his loved ones and his eye.
Yeah.
Mm. And I would like to welcome you all to this week's episode.
Nice.
Of every film in the book. This week we watched Kubo.
Kubo and the Two Strings.
Which is a very, very different movie than anything we've ever done.
Yeah, I think after the lady murder movie, we really needed a nice wholesome.
Well, because that's what I was saying. Because we did it. It's like we've had a lot of like teenagers killing each other and people getting eaten by dinosaurs and teenagers killing each other.
Abduction and accusing people of murder by sticking them in a hot shower.
Yeah, it's awful. We started the year with like 6 or 7 terrible, like, bad things happen to everybody.
Terrible
in the
circumstances.
Like, maybe we can do something nice this time, guys. Maybe we do something nice.
It's like, can anything with a PG rating? That would be kind of cool.
That's what we did. The
stop motion
digital meld artistic pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I gotta just sing the praises of this movie's visual style.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredible to look at. And to think that it was handmade. Now, granted, some of this is digital effects and like they couldn't do everything. But for the stuff they made by hand, like that's pretty impressive for a small studio like this.
And I'll put it this way. The artistic style and dedication to the craft of making a movie in this way covered up the giant plot holes and I'm sorry. There's some of that in it. But this is definitely a movie that you can't just put on in the background. It was like whenever I did something, I paused it because it's like, this is cool to watch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that are cool movies, but they're not cool to watch.
Yeah.
Right.
This movie, I don't know if I'd say it was a cool movie, but it was definitely cool to see how they did things. And of course, the magic element through everything allows so much cooler stuff to happen on screen.
Right.
Done in a very different way, but they're kind of good at it, like really good at it. So you're like, oh, this is kind of badass.
Right.
How they're doing this kids movie, and I liked it.
Wow.
I
I kind of liked it.
Yeah. No, I saw this in theaters with my brother, and I left that theater like the third eye had opened, and I was we're like, so what do you think he meant by like telling stories? Do you think like we're all just a part of a big story? And it was a long conversation.
Were you a child or were you a little bit?
I was
under the influence.
I was 28,
Okay.
and
So were you under the
I was
influence?
4 32-ounce beers in.
Yeah, so it was really cool, bro.
I was really feeling Kubo.
When did this come out though?
I don't have an exact date.
I just looked up 2016.
2016.
Somewhere right.
There
Okay,
you
so
go.
pretty, so recent-ish.
Yeah.
We don't want to date ourselves here.
Yeah. No, but I truly find this story like captivating for a kids movie. Like they try to dumb it down for what
And
it is.
you did well to not mention to me that it was a kids movie, because I'd be like, oh, fuck this shit, I'm not doing that. I'd have just been an asshole.
The way Steve put it, because this was Steve's pick, we've been kind of going back and forth between whose turn it is to pick the movie. And I'm pretty sure what you said was, yeah, it's animated, but it's got a good story, and it's all like claymation stop motion, so it's really cool. And Mike was like, okay, we'll check it out.
Right.
And then Steve and I were watching it, we're like, he might hate this movie, honestly.
Hate this movie.
All right, so I just decided we're going to start off with some questions for Michael.
Okay, I would love to answer them. He's gearing up, folks.
Yeah. So the mom and the sisters,
yes,
were just the mom was a real person.
No,
they all were real people.
They're all real people. Yes.
Okay, because here's what confused me, because in the story, when she went to kill Kubo's dad, so he didn't become more powerful than her father.
Right.
To me, she took on a human form to be with Hanzo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, she more chose a human life to be with Hanzo, but instead of living up in the heavens with her grandfather.
I do think that made her human, though, and no longer like an immortal being or whatever.
How did she get to be an immortal being?
So she's not an immortal being.
Well, she was.
Because she dies.
Well, but she was if she was one of them.
But then she came down to...
how did she get to be an immortal being?
Oh, she was just born...
It's
into
like
that family.
Being a god, you know,
Yeah.
it's like you're born.
She was just born.
How did the grandfather then? How was that his grandfather? And he took an mortal form at the end, and it was kind of weird because the sisters weren't given that fucking option, and they were just following orders.
I do think it's kind of a you have to take it less literally and a little more. There's the ethereal beings, and then there's the human beings, and you have to kind of
like the way I look at it is you're being told a fairy tale.
Yeah.
So in the fairy tale, there's a moon king, and you just believe there's a moon king because that's what the story is telling.
I get that, but she made the choice to be human, where that choice was made for the grandfather, it seemed, by beating the dog shit out of him.
I do think part of it is
that confused me a little bit.
Is them talking about the difference of good and evil, and how once he was released from the evil, because, you know, Kubo kind of like sees him in a different light that most people don't see him. He kind of like comes out of that state and becomes a human.
Because Kubo was able to see the soul
Yes.
in the grandfather.
Yeah, he
that's
was able to
what I
unlock. I mean, from what I gather, a lot of this is having to do with the eyes, and the eyes are what see
windows to the soul.
Yeah, they see the goodness in humanity, they see the evil in humanity, and the grandfather is trying to blind Kubo from the truth of humanity.
Right.
So at the end, when he unlocks his grandfather, like, you notice his eyes are glazed over the entire movie. But then when he's finally unlocked,
only one of them was...
he has the missing eye from Kubo.
Right.
So the grandfather is trying to make him see the world as the grandfather does. Everybody's beneath him. Everything is meaningless. And the only pleasure you can find is living up in the heavens with us as these gods.
But Kubo's doing the same shit the grandfather did, and we're just saying Kubo's right.
If that's the way you want to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to interpret it too.
Yeah. Hello, I do a movie podcast.
Because I mean, I just view this as Kubo is being sucked into his fairy tale, because he tells the story of Hanzo and this great warrior in the beginning, and like he's captivating the village, and then he kind of starts realizing he himself is in his own fairy tale. So like I think from there the storytelling kind of gets a little plot holy, a little all over the place, just because they're kind of treating it like it's a storybook. Like, you don't need to explain everything, or you don't need certain explanations to kind of propel the story forward.
Children are only questions so
Yeah,
much.
but I didn't know it was a kids movie. All right?
Yeah.
That might be part of it.
Yeah, it actually doesn't really present as a children's movie that much, with like, it gets kind of creepy and there's some like dark and, you know, intense scenes and talking about death.
It says like peril.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
you know, and
I mean,
and
he almost gets killed a bunch.
Yeah, and the themes they talk about in this movie
pretty,
are
that's heavy.
They're heavy themes of like, where's our place? What is our like life really meaning? Like, when we're gone, are we gone, or are we held in memories? Like, it brings up some pretty heavy themes for a movie where a kid plays guitar and paper mache comes out.
And again, it's the age-old tale of explaining what happens to us after we die.
Right.
And I better not turn into a golden crane. I'll be pissed.
I want to be a purple monkey.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd be into being Mr. Monkey. It turns out to be Mrs. Monkey.
I thought some of those little things were funny, just because like Kubo, the kid, was like, and I've been calling you Mr. Monkey this whole time.
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, if I'd have been alive at the time, I might have been, you know, that might have been, you know, I would have been offended by that.
Yeah.
But that's like, it was just this quick 2 little lines, and I was like, little chuckle.
I love the little jabs between Beetle and Monkey, because I'm like, they act like they're a married couple before they realize they're like,
yeah,
I
got that pretty.
Yeah, they
And
started
then-
flirting hardcore at some point, and I was like,
They wake up in the
"Ew."
cave, and Beetle's got one of his arms around her. It's like, come on, you know they were smooching. You know they were in there smooching.
But I love when McConaughey plays these like aloof kind of characters, like when he pulls out the bow and he shoots like 4 into him, and he's like, it's literally the first time I've ever tried that.
yeah. Like,
I'm like, hell yeah, Beetle.
yeah, there's a bunch of little one-liners that, now that I know it's a kid movie, are for me, the adult.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. But it's a very simple story that kind of gets as complex as you want to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also told in a very simple way, but it's not shown simply, but it's not cluttered either.
Right.
Because that's one thing that a lot of some of these animated things where everything in the background's fucking moving the whole time. It's just like, do you want me to look at the characters, or am I trying to look at that tree that's moving the different way than all the other trees? It's like,
And
so
they
that
take
was kind of neat.
they take a lot of moments to just show like somebody placing something on a table, or like just moments of life that are often not shown in movies as like an important thing.
Right.
So a lot of the opening stuff was really cool, just to be like, wow, and they did that with a little clay character, and they actually like moved him.
Right.
And I like it because that's what your eyes are doing. Like when I set something down, I'm watching myself set it down. Like that's a
Right.
natural thing to see, is your hand coming into frame and putting something down. To frame, like I'm a camera.
You're constantly being filmed. Like,
Yeah, so like that stuff's cool, because you're right. A ton of movies, you'll just see them talking and then set something down. It's like, that's not how you do that, and
Right.
it takes you out of it a little bit. Where this allows you to be in it because it gives you time and space to enjoy what you're seeing.
And like when Kubo was making dinner for his mom,
Right.
and like just like stirring the soup was like so like, ooh, that
Like-
looks
You're
so
like, that's
cool.
cool.
Like, I can't believe the amount of like emotion and personality they got out of clay. Like out of these inanimate objects, like they felt more human than half of like the mainstream movies we watch.
It's because the mainstream movies we watch are bad.
Like like you sit through a Twilight movie where it's cardboard acting against cardboard, but then you sit and watch this where it's two clay inanimate objects and you're like, holy shit, I feel so bad for this kid, and like his journey means so much to me.
The voice actors may or may not be able to see what's going on. So yeah, it's something like that's obviously tough to put together. But they did a really good job. One thing, I don't know if you noticed, but at the start of the movie, when she's on the boat, with Kubo, and she splits that wave, pretty. That was badass.
They call that a power chord.
All right, I'm here for it. Let's go. Power chord. Splits the wave. The wave was coming at the boat. Then, when she keeps going, the wave comes from behind, and I was like, I don't get it. And then she slams her head off that rock, and I was like, I don't give a fuck which way that wave was going. That lady ain't making it.
Yeah. No, literally, as we're watching, I was like, all right, so she's dead.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. And they did a good. I think they did a good job with that. And then anyone that has any experience with anybody around them having dementia or memory loss, you're just like, oh yeah, that's tough. And then the instant transition of her forgetting again, I was like, I've watched someone do that. I was like, that was good. So somebody making that movie,
they conveyed
had
it so
had a
well.
Parent with dementia or something.
Yeah, like when her face just like goes from animated and happy to
and then just
yeah, and then she just like sinks back into the, and like even Kubo says it. He's just like, bedtime. Like he knows. All right, well,
that's all I'm getting out of mom today.
Maybe I'll get some more tomorrow.
And the way he describes it as like she's fading away.
Yeah, like there's nothing behind her eyes anymore. Like she's slowly slipping, and it's like, fuck, dude, this is a kid's movie?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, we're dealing with my own mortality here.
This is one of those kids' movies that if you watched it as a child and you went back to it 15 years later, you're just like, why did I think this was so good?
Yeah.
This is so sad.
Yeah,
like, I used to love this movie, and I'm watching this woman die.
Yeah, no, literally, like, you know, it's me and my brother, and then like kids with their families watching this movie, and we're leaving the theater like, dude, I'm gonna die one day, and I don't know if I'm ready to deal with that.
And all these kids are like, did you see the Paper Samurai?
Yeah. And like, I mean, granted, we were drinking, but like, you know, like there was something like about the magic in this movie, and like the way they tell their story, and like just the mystical aspects, like you feel something kind of at the end of this.
And I'm a sucker for a sad story. I love sad stories. And they said it, you know, because one of the themes in the movie was he doesn't know how to end his story. He doesn't end his stories well. He always needs help with that. And he ends his story on a happy note. But even the happy note was kind of sad because your parents are still dead. And now he's got to be Batman.
Exactly, bittersweet. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because it's like, he's standing there with his family. They finally reached out and communicated. He had a relationship with them, but he's still on his own. Literally everybody's gone.
Kubo 2 is him putting the armor on and then becoming the grandfather and then just owning the planet.
And then it's just time is a circle.
It becomes Kubo and the 4 strings, and he learns bass guitar. And he starts, you know,
I will say, the first thing I did was count how many strings were on, and I forget the name of the instrument, but I was like, that's got 3. This is Kubo and the 2 strings. Something's going to happen to that instrument.
Yeah.
And then when it did, I was like, when the hair becomes a bracelet, I was like, there's 1 string.
Yep.
And I was like, where the hell's the other string? And then the dad's.
Yeah, it's the mom and the dad, and then he ends up taking one of his strands.
It was the rope from the bow or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he made his own, and I was like, oh, and now it's 3 strings again. There was only 2 strings in this movie
why is
for
it
4
2
minutes.
strings? The title is 2 strings, but he ends with 3
because his 2 strings are his parents.
Yeah, it's the 2 strings of his
And
parents.
his
then he
grandpa
takes
didn't
it.
get a string? Like, come
Well,
on.
his grandfather stole his eye. Do you expect him to just recover like
what
that?
would have been cool is if he just popped old Pop-Pop's eye out and just be like,
scoop it out.
give me that back, you bastard.
If this was a darker movie, like at the end when the grandfather recovers and he's like, I don't know who I am, and they're all like, you're a fucking piece of shit, dude. You're an eyeball stealing scumbag, and then he's like, oh, I didn't know. It's like
didn't know.
you should walk into that river and kill yourself.
But first, give me your left eye.
Yeah, give me my eye back, and then go swim.
That scene is interesting at the end where they're trying to convince him that he is a good person by just blatantly lying to him.
You used to donate blankets to the needy.
It's
You
like-
always helped whenever anyone needed. They're
You
all like,
gave
"Oh,
a
yeah."
small fortune to children every time you passed them.
To be fair, if there was somebody who was like a bad person and they went into a coma, forgot everything they knew, you could just turn them into a good person by lying to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you 100% could. And then also keep pushing the you give coins to people.
Yeah.
Love. It's like, we're pretty sure he's got a nest egg. Let's milk him.
Every Thursday you just handed me $200. I don't know why, but you did it every Tuesday.
You're starting low here. It's like,
That'll add up every Tuesday. Come on,
every
it'll add
Tuesday
up.
you gave me 6 acres of your property,
But, like,
which I will rent back to you for $200 a day.
But I really don't know how else to like put it into words. But there's just something about this movie that really stuck with me.
Well, there's not
like, leaving
really.
this.
What other fun adventure movies are there? Like, there's really been a severe lacking in adventure movies that aren't over the top.
Or like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right,
I'm
that are-
sorry, I hate
yeah,
those
no,
movies.
that's-
Like I can't.
That's not it. Sonic is. It's not. it.
Those are the animated action movies that are out there these days.
And that's how you tell a modern kid's tale, where it's the ADD fueled just psychoticness, where you
Cuts every
can't
6 seconds.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can't trust your audience to sit and enjoy what's being fed to them. It has to be quick cuts and quick actions, and we got to change the plot lines every 45 seconds to keep their attention. Like when this movie came out, it was kind of like, no, we're going to tell an adult story through a child's lens, and you're going to have to sit and watch it.
And they slow things down without slowing the pace of the movie down.
Right.
Because like I said, in those scenes where they're showing you just moving from place to place, they're still like making it something visually very incredible, but
Right.
you still have that sense of adventure and traveling, even though there's not like a million things happening. And they have those scenes where
and then,
there is a million things happening, but they
and
have their
you
place.
liked those.
Yeah.
It made it cool because there wasn't crazy shit going on the whole time. And like I say this about music is like, if there's no ups and downs, then the crescendo
it means nothing.
sounds the same as the whole, and it's
Right.
like it's the same thing for movies.
Well,
Yeah.
and I love that they set this idea up in the first set of dialogue with Kubo talking, where he's like, if you have to blink, do it now, because what I'm about to tell you, like, you need to pay attention, because our hero isn't going to last if you don't pay attention.
And-
so it draws your attention in.
And I like how they remind the characters in the movie remind themselves that they're in a story
Right.
a couple times, and you're just like, that's good. Like that's really like that's smart writing.
Right.
That's a good way to do it, and that's a good, and then right back into it.
Yes.
Where it has a chance to breathe, but it doesn't feel like you're holding your breath.
Right. Right.
That's not bad. I'm just saying. I said it to you first.
Somebody put that on a
Stuff
t-shirt.
you can only get at every film in the book. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, no, I absolutely love this movie, and like I know this isn't going to be the longest episode or the shortest one, but like I really want people to go and see this movie. Like the artisticness that goes into making a movie like this and putting everything into a movie like this where it's not relying on CGI or dumb like, well, that happened kind of jokes.
It's like, we just saw it.
Yeah, like there's something about storytelling like this where it's almost more of a physical medium than just a visual medium. Like,
and I like how they did little things to make it easier on themselves. Like the sisters were wearing a mask,
right?
And when their mouths weren't moving, it made it more ethereal.
Yeah. It made it creepier.
Really, it made it way better. And then it gets cracked, and then you can see her talking, and you're like, oh, there is something behind it.
Right.
You're like that, like,
it's like, oh,
shit
it
like
is
that.
a person.
Physically, it makes it easier to make that because it doesn't need to move.
Right.
And then when it's revealed underneath it, you're like, that's badass.
Yeah.
Also, it was two sisters, but they were as one. And sometimes when it talked, it had that double, like you could hear that layer.
Well, it was the same
and then
actress.
it changed. It changed. Like when in the final fight or whatever, you could hear that double speak. Not double speak, but you could tell it was two voices saying the same thing, and one's just a little bit off from the other. So it's like, oh, that's both of them, which should be more powerful. And then I like how it changed because the one had the two swords and the other one had the whatever that weapon is on the chains.
Yeah.
Then it switches from like the first fight having the sickle and chain or whatever, and then the second one was the two swords. I was like, that's kind of cool. That's a good way to show that it's both, because the first thing you see is they come out of the dark and then split off.
Right.
And you're like, okay, something wild. And the feet dragging across the water, I was just like, that's the villain.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, that's scary.
And
I thought that was just fucking cool.
It's cool how they have the villains as this like all-powerful being where like they come out as soon as it gets dark out. They're like, "Hi, Kubo."
Hi, Kubo.
They're like, "We know who you are.
In the van.
We've been watching you." And they're
just
just like
like,
floating towards you.
Well, and it's great because like when the mom warns you in the beginning, it's like, never go out past night, like, or your grandfather will find you. It's like, he's not that good.
Yeah.
And then literally
It's
as
like
soon as he's out at night, like boom.
Also, it's
him.
like most people aren't afraid of their grandpas.
Yeah.
What's your aunts? They'll fuck you up.
Your aunts will fuck you up, man.
Did you know your aunt is a karate master?
Which like all that stuff was pretty cool because it kind of reminded me of the old martial arts films, how they would be in the air for way too long.
Yeah.
And that was kind of neat because that's an older movie style put to older technology of claymation and like a rough animation.
Right.
And then it was done in, just a few years ago.
Right.
So that was kind of cool. The 80s martial arts films where they're like, wow. And they're just in the air and it's just like, oh, they have some mystical art.
Right.
It's like, that's why he can do 3 flips and stay in the air and then kick you in the face.
Yeah. And they always got to
cool.
exchange like, we always wanted to be a team, but now we're not a team. And then the person's like, I'll never join you. So like they hit all those like fun tropes and like as throwbacks to those
That was
movies.
pretty cool because I was just like, I watched movies with fighting like this and they had swords too sometimes.
I've seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, some of the fighting in this is better than a lot of actual real life action scenes that I've seen.
Yeah, well, there was more at stake. Kubo could have lost his other eye.
he could have. But it just goes to show that you can capture more when you put it on film and you physically have to move the thing to make the kinetic energy, to make it seem like they're actually hitting each other. Like you can it seems like you can get more out of that than just being like, all right, so if we take this computer person and we take this computer person and we have them punch each other, they'll like it for about at least 15 minutes.
Yep. Completely off topic. I knew the monkey was Mom when she licked her hand and fixed his hair. And then he went, ugh, and
also,
put it back. I was like, yep, that's Mom.
If you watch this movie with subtitles, it says in voice of Mother.
Oh yeah, see,
just like gives it away.
I don't ruin films by turning the subtitles on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when Beetle comes on, it says voice of Hanzo, and it's like, well, great.
Oh, so
I guess
they
that's
really gave it to
that's
you.
Kubo's dad.
Yeah, but it is very obvious the
The
relationship they have with him and
the way they hint at it with just the way Monkey and Beetle talk to each other, where it starts as like they don't trust each other, but they get that familiarity and like the little
Telling
flirty.
you, they were smooching in that cave.
But then they go like balls to the wall.
Yeah.
They are hardcore flirting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Like,
was trying
out
to
of
do something
nowhere.
with his
Oh,
ball.
dude, when he jumps into the water and he's like, "You're gonna miss me, Monkey." I was like, hell yeah.
Ooh,
Oh my
it's getting
God.
hot
Anyone
in
else
here.
excited?
But no, I swear Beetle is my favorite, especially when he comes back up and he's holding a fish and he's like, I got it. And
got
it's
it.
like, wait, where's Kubo? And he's like, I'll go get him.
He does go get him. That's a very dad thing to do, is be like, shit, I forgot, but I'm gonna fix it. I'll fix it, but I forgot.
Yeah. It's like, I did forget. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Now,
the eyes were pretty cool too. That was neat.
The glowy
Was,
underwater eyes.
Oh yeah,
With that big,
that was great.
big man who's gonna get bit.
Was this your first time seeing this one?
Obviously, I don't watch kids movies, Steve.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. You've seen
never-
like literally everything else.
I never even heard of this movie.
Oh well, good. I'm glad it was something new to the table that you sort of enjoyed.
It's very obscure. It's on
Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, I watched this for the first time as a Steve recommendation when we first started dating many years ago. I watched it by myself.
This
and
movie
I enjoyed it then.
is special and it deserves attention. Like, because we don't get movies like this anymore. I mean, 2016 was the last time I've seen a movie come out that's sort of claymation like this. Like, there was that horror movie, stop motion or whatever.
Oh, it was so bad.
But like,
Go watch our podcast.
I thought we agreed to just
yeah,
never
just
talk
ignore that
about
one.
that.
Yeah.
Wait, did we edit? We never
No,
did a podcast
we
on that
skipped that one.
Yeah.
We were almost going to do an episode on
Yeah.
that.
And it was just we'd have just been like, welcome to the episode. This movie fucking sucks.
This was 2 hours of
The sad thing was that could have been so.
It could have been
good.
so
That could have
good.
been so good.
and like I get
What was
it's
it called?
stop motion,
Stop motion.
and it's one of those like
Stop motion.
far out there make you think about it horrors, but it
And
made me think
she
too.
was the daughter of the mom
Yeah,
who made the stop
it's
motion movies, and
like-
it could have been fucking cool. And I'm
Yeah.
angry, and I will fist fight that director.
yeah, but like
Show yourself.
like movies like this are what I like to say, like diamond in the rough. Like they come out very few and far between, but it's worth your attention.
And there's
but
not
they do
even-
slip under the radar sometimes.
But there's not even that much rough.
yeah.
Like there's 4 of these movies came out in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I'm like this Studio Laika is the studio that does this stuff. And no, granted, it takes them years to make a single movie. So like, I'm not expecting one to come out every year like it's a Marvel project and they're just shitting these things out because it's cheap and easy. But
and
like
garbage.
yeah, but like when you, I
I had to
think
throw that in there.
like I think they did that Paranorman
Yep.
movie,
Yep.
and that I think that was before Kubo.
Yep, that
And
was a little bit before.
Yeah, and that must have came out. I mean, I don't have a date, so I don't want to like lie to you people. But like going from that, it took them years, and then
Mhm.
Kubo came out. So it's like there's care and dedication that goes into the movie.
Better, you would say?
I like Kubo better. I mean,
That's what I thought you'd say.
yeah, like there's just something special about this.
Whatever
one. I don't
they
know
did
why.
with this one, they got the whole
Yeah,
they got the whole package right.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's something about the feeling I had walking out of this movie where I was like, that was something special. I hope this does well.
I can see why it would maybe not do well when it's a kid's movie
Right.
that doesn't have a notable character that's like a Mario that everybody
it's-
knows Mario.
It's not an
Right.
IP.
Yeah, so it's hard for kids to get into it, and it's like one of those more for the adult kind of movies, but the adults aren't really gonna go see it if it's a kids movie. So like,
right.
it's a hard market, and I think it's meant to be a niche movie that is like not that many people are gonna see it, but it's really good.
If that studio was trying to make blockbuster hits, they'd make a different style. Of
Yeah,
film.
they'd switch to a
These
different
are-
style.
Yeah.
But
To me, this is always a good reminder that it's like some artists are doing it for the art,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the art is supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
That's what makes art different than fucking hobbies.
Yeah.
Right.
Is art is hard. Hobbies are you stop when it gets hard.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great place to stop there.
Yeah, I mean that's the best I could say about Kubo, and I feel like I'm just chasing my own tail at this
As
point.
as all our dead relatives hover behind us in the glow of the lantern in the
Added
night
in post,
sky.
and-
Yeah, and they're like, "You did a good job."
Great jobs.
And the podcast.
Stop talking. Well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Catch you guys next time. See ya.
Bye.